the operations of medical marijuana consumer cooperatives and approval of associated permit fee schedule. We do have 4 public speakers in opposition and 7 in favor on this item.
And Madam President, I'd like to introduce Tim Taylor from our staff, who has been leading this effort to help us amend the operational ordinance pertaining to the operations of medical marijuana consumer cooperatives. This is the latest iteration of this ordinance that the committee felt was important to include going forward, and I anticipate there will be more discussion and more changes down the road as San Diego experiences these operations actually open and for business legally in the city of San Diego. So I'd like to turn this program over to Tim Taylor for a report and the recommendations from our Public Safety and Neighborhoods Committee for this particular ordinance.
I want to thank you, Council President Pro Tem Bell, for the introduction to this item. And Mr. Taylor, how much time would you like for the item?
Less than 5 minutes.
It was set at 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Council President, Council members. Also with me for this item is Dan Normandin with Development Services and Shannon Thomas, Deputy City Attorney. This item proposes amending Municipal Code Chapter 4, Article 2, Division 15 regarding medical marijuana consumer cooperatives. It includes associated permit fees to allow for full cost recovery of permit issuance and enforcement. There are 3 main components to medical marijuana regulation in the city of San Diego. First, the rules on marijuana possession by qualified patients approved in 2002 and 2003. Second, the operational requirements for medical marijuana consumer cooperatives, also known as the Public Safety Ordinance, approved in 2011, at the same time as the original land use ordinance, but not subject to that referendum. It's these regulations that are proposed to be amended here. Third is the land use regulations that were approved in February 2014. When the council approved the land use ordinance, they recommended that the Public Safety and Livable Neighborhoods Committee review the existing operating regulations. They cited concerns with the food safety of edibles, the origin of the product, the processing of concentrates like hash oil, and product deliveries. They also requested that the fees for the operating permit provide for full cost recovery. The committee made the following recommendations, which form the basis for the amendment you are reviewing. Provide a process to revoke the permit if necessary, including grounds for revocation and an appeal process. Revise the language on required interior signage and the warning label on products to eliminate some of the more subjective statements. Change the city may conduct a background check to the city shall conduct a background check. Allow the city to have the products tested for pesticides, mold, mildew, and/or bacteria, and make such testing results available to consumers. Encourage, but do not require cooperatives to label products for potency. Provide that the operating permits are issued by the city manager on an annual basis. Require the maintenance of a list of responsible persons, which is to be furnished upon request. Approve a fee schedule for the operating permit. The existing requirements with regard to edibles is that a sign be posted in the cooperative warning that the County Department of Public Health does not have regulatory authority over edibles. The ordinance does not include changes regarding the transportation of medical marijuana because of concerns raised by the City Attorney's Office regarding preemption and equal protection. That concludes this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Before we go to public comment, is there any comment by the independent budget analyst or the city attorney? Seeing none, we will be taking public testimony in light of the number of speakers and in order to hear from everyone while still giving council adequate time to deliberate. We will be limiting the public to 2 minutes per speaker. If you need additional time, I will be happy to work with you on that. With that, we will now take public testimony.
Beginning with speakers in opposition, Bud Collins, please come forward, followed by Scott Chipman, followed by Bernard Gammon.
Good morning, Madam President. I'd like the 3 minutes, please, if I can get that. It is very important, first of all, in the regulations, laws here, take out the city manager. We have no city manager anymore. Substitute the appropriate people. Now, we had a person here earlier, Mr. Chipman, with all due respect, who keeps getting up here and railing against medical marijuana. And I might say this here. We have had, since 1950, the largest cash crop in this state is marijuana. It can be gotten any time in this city, at any time. And so I would say this very carefully to this council. It is time, after 18 years, to have these regulations run through immediately. Enough is enough. You do not even have the first dispensary operating yet. Medical marijuana, regular marijuana can be gotten any place, in any neighborhood, at any time. And as soon as you get these regulations completed and the dispensaries opened, I suggested a long time ago. I suggested that the city put on the ballot a tax, not just the fees, but a tax for our services, which are at 60%. Incidentally, St. Augustine, I salute you. Make sure you understand what Mr. Chipman did say. Do not drink. Do not smoke. Do not do marijuana. Use your brains to finish school. Nothing else is important. When you're 21, you want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to do marijuana, that's a good thing. Incidentally, Madam Pro Tem, nice to see you around kicking.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Keep it up. Now, last year there was a Supreme Court case in this state that in essence said if the proper proposition was put forth, then all the regulations would come under the umbrella regarding medical marijuana and eventually recreational marijuana. The sooner that happens, the better for everybody. Then all of these illegal transactions that happen throughout the city won't happen. Now they're happening, and until you get those regulations finished and these dispensaries operating, the better off you'll be. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
I may be a little over 4, hopefully not much. But obviously I agree with a couple of things that Mr. Collins said, not a lot. So who is advocating for pot shops, business people, and corporations who are looking to make money? Even this council has stopped using the term patients and has started using the term customers. We're amazed at how many people and corporations in and coming to San Diego are clamoring, even fighting to provide the compassionate service of offering marijuana to the ill for no profit. Yes, marijuana is available everywhere. Why would we need to authorize stores if it's already available everywhere? This just basically puts this city of San Diego in the business of drug dealing. There's a clear scramble to be the first in line to do good. We even have some Samaritans complaining that others have taken unfair advantage and are now in first place in the race to open and start offering these needful services. This is drug dealing for money. The reality, of course, is that these do-gooders are plain and simple drug dealers looking for an approved location to deal their illicit, addictive, and dangerous products for the best price they can get. All right, so you've got some good things started here. We need much more. AB 26 is coming. That assembly bill is intended to put the horse back in the barn. Please make yourself aware of it. It will control what needs to be controlled. In the vending machine, I pulled out a couple of candy bars. Look at the ingredients that are completely identified. Milk chocolate, sugar, cocoa, butter, skim milk, lactose, soy, lecithin, enriched wheat, etc., etc., etc. The ingredients, this is standard business practice. And pharmaceutical standards, if this is a medicine, if our intention is for this to be a medicine delivered to fragile people, fragile patients, then it should have pharmaceutical standards. There are no such things as pharmaceutical standards in this regulation. Regulation without enforcement is no regulation at all. The city has not shown, not proven that it can regulate. And so, in order to regulate, you've got to have money. This is supposed to be full cost recovery. Did anyone talk to the county sheriff's department about how much it costs them to regulate one pot shop, Mother Earth in El Cajon? Over $50,000. That's public record. They presented this to our coalition members. That's how much it cost them. And what was the primary cost? To go and find out where the marijuana is coming from. Do you want the marijuana to come from drug cartels from across the border, from drug cartels working in our local forests? I'm sure you don't. If you don't want the marijuana to come from these locations, you've got to do something about it. That's what effective regulation is. Doing something about it means you find out where the marijuana is coming from by an audit. Every gram going in. Pharmacies do the exact same thing. They monitor every gram going in, every gram going out. Edibles are not addressed. They need to be. The fee charge is way too low. The city can test. Everything that's sold in the marketplace is tested. You've got to know what's in it. Anyone 21 years old, really? We're allowing 18-year-olds. You can't buy a beer, but somehow it's okay to go buy marijuana before you're 21. So, anyone who has been operating illegally should be disqualified. They've already proven themselves as not good citizens, not good business people, and why would we expect them to follow the rules when they have already proven they're willing to break the rules? The nonprofit status, really, this is just drug dealing for profit. If you take the profit out of it, really, then the true philanthropist will come to play here. We'll find out who is really just trying to provide medicine. If you can take the profit out of it, I don't know 10 people in San Diego that still think this isn't for money. This is big marijuana.
Mr. Chipman, could you have one?
I will wrap up. This is big marijuana, and if this is allowed to continue, you've not seen anything yet.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The ordinance before us today does not address many of the concerns that the community has regarding pot shops. These stores, like we've heard, continue to open up. Stores are closing down just so they can apply for a permit to reopen. The city wants us to think that they're on top of the permitting application process, but it looks like an out-of-control situation. Pot shops don't care about the law. It's all about making money. It's hard to regulate a lawless business, and the real concern is what will the cost be to regulate these businesses. I hope the city staff has done an adequate job determining the actual cost recoverables of regulating these businesses. The city does not have the resources to bear this cost. This ordinance also does not address the documented health and safety concerns like pot shops located in high crime areas, available edibles with high concentration of THC, hash oil. Again, like we heard, where is the source of them getting their marijuana? Hopefully not from illegal grows or drug cartels. Again, we've seen 18-year-olds being able to go from pot shop and then resell that to his high school buddies. These are not benign businesses like some people would have you believe. The ordinance needs to be strengthened today addressing these issues. We cannot leave it up to the pot shops to regulate themselves. It needs to be clear and enforceable. There's a reason why the other 17 cities in the county do not allow pot shops. They have proven themselves to be unregulated unless we have unlimited code enforcement and city attorneys to enforce it. Thank you.
Hello. say I'm in favor of number 8 in that you are requiring further research. My concern are the edibles. Edibles are very, very dangerous. I think about school potlucks and how we're not allowed to have those anymore because we worry about who made the food. And again, with edibles, if we don't show where they're made, what they're made with, if we don't label them correctly, it's very, very, very dangerous. What is really mostly concerning to me is the potency. That, again, I see that the recommendation is to encourage but not require the potency be labeled on these things. And I strongly recommend that potency should be labeled, it should be required to be labeled. I could cite many instances of people jumping off buildings and doing some pretty scary, dangerous things from eating edibles. So they're very strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Peggy Walker, and then turn to speakers in favor, beginning with Stephen Lubell or Lovell.
Good morning. I would really like to see this ordinance totally ban edibles and concentrates. The role of government is not to support the dispensing of drugs, but to protect the community. Why then would we choose to allow drug dealers to sell an unknown amount of an unknown mix of unidentified chemicals from a potentially addictive Category 1 narcotic, and that's what the marijuana is. Category 1 meaning it has no known medicinal value. Why would we allow these products with unlabeled ingredients and unidentified levels of THC to be sold in these dispensaries? These products have very high potential for addiction, physical illness, mental disorders, and psychotic episodes. The ordinance is a little bit narrow and vague. Why, for example, ask to encourage but not require labeling. Tobacco has surgeon general warnings. Alcohol is labeled by alcoholic content approved. Every pharmaceutical and prescription has strict international standards. You know exactly what you're getting with all of these products. Even more stunning is why we sell edibles that are marketed directly to children. What possible social redeeming value is there in a product, a gummy bear that can get 3 people high, or a chocolate bite that can cause psychotic episodes, causing a man to shoot his wife or someone to jump off a balcony? Why edibles when the California Penal Code 347, which is about poisoning, says that mixing hazardous substances with edibles is a felony. Why? Well, the DEA fights to shut down dangerous BHO extraction labs. Are we allowing products, extractions from those labs to be sold in dispensaries? Please consider that every dispensary you allow will bring thousands and thousands of customers, and what they buy will spill over into surrounding communities. Even those 17 of 18 adjacent cities
May I
that
have
have
one
chosen
concluding sentence, please?
that have chosen to ban marijuana dispensaries. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Council President Pro Tem, Council members, City attorneys, and staff. My name is Stephen Lubell. I am counsel to Mission Bay Cooperative, the applicant for a conditional use permit at 4645 DeSoto Street. I'm here today to speak to you about the proposed amendment to Chapter 4, Article 2, Division 15 of the San Diego Municipal Code pertaining to the regulation and operation of medical marijuana dispensaries and cooperatives in the city. Mission Bay Cooperative is in favor of the amendments that ask you to impose stricter regulations than those proposed in the amendments with respect to the requirements for laboratory testing and listing of potency clearly labeled on the product. Many of the proposed patients of the cooperatives in the city have compromised immune systems. These vulnerable patients need to know that the medical marijuana they are obtaining has no byproducts or contaminants that will compromise their weakened immune systems. These patients need to know the potency and ratios of what we call CBD, which is the non-psychoactive part of the marijuana, which the THC, which is the psychoactive part of marijuana, where there's a combination as part of an individual treatment plan. These patients need to know what's in the marijuana as part of an individual treatment plan and quality of life issues. Having a city ordinance that does not require testing and potency labeling requirements compromises the health of these medical marijuana patients and puts them at an unnecessary and avoidable risk. Mission Bay Cooperative urges the city of San Diego to require testing and potency labeling requirements to any amendment pertaining to the operation of medical marijuana consumer cooperatives in the city. From a public safety perspective, public safety, this should be a requirement in the regulation of medical marijuana cooperatives in the city. On behalf of Mission Bay Cooperative, I thank you for your time and consideration. One last part, we've had a whole line of appellate cases in the last year, which should give us all guidance. I've never seen in my career this many cases so quickly. And just 2 weeks ago, we had another case, 5th Appellate District, that discusses 3 of the cases from our district here, and I urge the city and the city attorney's office use these latest cases as a guide as we amend the regulations. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, council members. My name is Terry Gaskell with Americans for Safe Access. I'm a proud member of District 6. Mr. Alvarez, I voted for you. I know that there are going to be a number of, or there have been a number of paid prohibitionists who use public funds to come and talk to you about banning medical marijuana, and they all spoke before me. I'm here just not to take up very much of your time, but to ask that you not ban extracts through the public safety and livable neighborhoods recommendations. A lot of my family members and friends are using extracts, and they're predominantly using extracts so that they can figure out ways to use oil and get cannabis into their system without the THC. That's cannabis in their system without the THC. If you ban extracts, you're banning that progress. People want to be able to use cannabis in cases where they have to drive or where they have to really be on their game. They want to use cannabis without the THC. If you ban extracts, you're banning that progress that we're making. Please don't ban extracts, please. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. My name is Matt Dawson. Thank you for continuing to address the particulars of the medical marijuana ordinance, especially for beginning to address the issues of potency and contaminant testing. My only concern is that I don't think they go far enough, and it should be apparent that if you have people that are both for and against this issue, agreeing on the necessity for potency testing, I think that that's something that we can all agree on and we should address. People don't have to guess at the potency of their insulin or their Vicodin, nor should they have to guess at the potency of their cannabis. But labeling for potency is meaningless unless we have some kind of standards for testing. And we need to know who will be doing the testing. Will these labs be independent? What will be the standards and methods that they use? This shouldn't be a truly daunting task. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are jurisdictions throughout the state and in Colorado and Washington and now Oregon that already have these issues worked out regarding potency testing. So rather than reinvent the wheel, we should potentially borrow from them and look at their progress and build on that. And regarding the concerns about edibles and concentrates, these are serious life-saving medicine. And most of the arguments against them can also be addressed through the issues of potency and contaminant testing. And I'd like to just reiterate what Mr. Lubell and Ms. Best said about the grave dangers of banning, especially concentrates. We know that these medicines are are life-saving medicines in terms of stopping seizures, childhood seizures. And if you ban concentrates, you will be preventing those children from getting the help they need.
Good morning. Good morning, City Council members. I'm Martha Sullivan. I do live in District 6 now. I wanted to come, we've been talking about this for at least a few years now. I've been coming to these meetings to encourage this city to adopt some regulations so that patients who use medical marijuana have safe access. They can get
the treatment that works for them. And I just wanted to share a couple of personal experiences by friends of mine. You know, one friend, her mother had dementia. Her mother was, you know, practically in restraints because, you know, she had very belligerent behavior associated with her dementia. They were, you know, advised to try medical marijuana, and that has been the thing that has helped her mother to actually have a quality of life and not be in restraints and not, you know, be able to interact with her daughter and other family members and her caregivers and so forth. Another friend of mine has serious neurological issues, and medical marijuana, again, allows her to have a life and to function with some degree of, you know, quality of life. So I just want to urge you to keep this in mind. I mean, there's always going to be some problems, as with any substance, as with alcohol, as with pharmaceuticals. We have to work on trying to control the exceptions and the problem, but we shouldn't continue to make it difficult for patients who are getting some really great results with this product, to prevent them from having safe access. And, you know, I just want to say this. We really need to start acting like the second largest city and the most populous state in the nation. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank you for regulating the marijuana dispensaries. It's certainly a very important thing to do. I do want to say, though, that we need some stronger regulations on some of them. And let me start with what I think is the most important, is the edibles. When we go to a traditional pharmacy, we've all gotten medication and it says, do not take more than 2 or 3 or 4 in 24 hours. We need something like that on the edibles. These brownies, the cookies, they say nothing and they take a long time to take effect, longer than smoking the marijuana. So these kids are doing it, not having any effect, take another one, and then as the previous speaker said, then they're jumping off buildings and losing their lives. So we definitely need a stronger regulation on that. And also security guards. I think we need those 24 hours a day, not just during business hours. The dispensaries are a high crime, they're a magnet for crime. So I think to protect the neighboring businesses, residences, I think security 24 hours a day would be a great idea. So thank you very much.
Good morning, I'm Judy Strang. Carol and I both left from a 9th District PTA meeting, and she's not here, but I got here in time, so I don't know if she'll still arrive. I serve as the Community Concerns Vice President for 9th District PTA, the 400 PTAs in San Diego County. I just want you to know it's a subject of concern. We spoke about it this morning. We've spoke about it since 2001. We as parents are concerned about diversion of pot to our young people. We do, however, applaud your sincere efforts at improving the regulations that are in place. I have recognized your desire to do something about the regulations and that have to do with potency and that sort of thing. You have talked about something else that's dear to my heart, and that's whether the pot shop owner applicant has a prior record and whether they already have a pot shop operating. I brought to you from the website, the one down in Otay Mesa that we'll be looking at Planning Commission is operating. This is their information off their website, so I wanted to share with you Green Alternative. I think it's important that, although I know that this is something of concern, I don't actually see the words in the regulations. It talks about a felony of previous misconduct. I think, or mischievous misconduct, I think is the language. I'd really like to see that language be improved. I'd also like to have us take a look at what our San Diego PD is recommending to pot shops and get some of that language into the regulations. It has to do with security and cameras and lighting, signage and windows, and a report that they make apparently to the pot shop applicants, the SEP 10 report. And since we have a San Diego PD providing this information. I'd like to have it permanently in the regulations. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Hernandez. I'm also with 9th District PTA. I serve as the health vice president. I serve a large contingent of parents across San Diego and Imperial counties. And I would like to thank you this morning for your work on the ordinance to date. I know it's been a work in progress over many months, and we have been down here sharing community member concerns. But I would bring up again that ask that you do more regarding the edibles that are available. We have had recent reports, in fact, a press conference in December from the Drug Enforcement Administration and the Narcotics Task Force that highlighted the many edibles that are available locally and are marketed strictly to our children. They're not marketed to fragile patients, they're marketed to children and youth. And we need to do more to keep those out of the hands of children and youth teens across San Diego. Thank you.
Cooperative discussions that we've had on this issue in the last 4 or 5 years that we've been working at tackling this issue. And I do appreciate personally the comments made about potency and labeling and so forth, and about the presence of edibles in the stores themselves. Personally, I think that without oversight from the feds, the state, the county, that consumer protection is at risk, and especially the protection of those with weakened immune systems who are patients. But with that said, our committee came forward with a list of recommendations, and in large part because of the lack of oversight from state and county officials. I've been to Sacramento urging the state to come up with some standards. They won't, because they don't have direction from the feds. I've urged the county to take initiative, and they say until the state tells them, gives them direction, that it's not on their radar either, officially. And then the courts are continuing to make the issue of edibles and concentrates and derivatives of marijuana a moving target. In fact, just most recently, I know somebody mentioned the Fifth Circuit, I want to look at that, or Fifth District. Third District, the appellate court here in California, issued a ruling on Friday, and I'm asking Marion Weston from our city attorney's office to give us the gist of it. And it speaks to the legality of THC concentrates as being essentially the same as marijuana, and making it legal to sell it. Is that correct?
Well, let me just put the case in context. The case is about a probation revocation, so the case comes from the criminal arena. It is not an analysis of a city's regulation of medical marijuana. And that is in part our challenge, is that we have to take some of our legal principles from the criminal arena, which does not always translate. So the holding of the case appears to be that concentrated cannabis is marijuana for purposes of the Compassionate Use Act, and allows a defendant to present a medical defense based on that proposition. Again, the case just came out last week, so it is not even final yet. What I propose that we do is our office will watch this case, and to the extent it conflicts with anything that we have done, we will bring it to your attention. And we do monitor and try to stay up on all the, as the speaker said, all medical marijuana cases that come down.
And they are coming fast and furious in large part because of the initiatives happening all across the country to legalize recreational marijuana and medical marijuana. And we do need these answers. We need them soon, and we need to have, I believe, a solid legal footing to know what we as a city, as a municipality, without the enforcement powers that the state and the county have to be able to regulate and balance the needs of the whole community. There's questions about the cost of enforcement. Of course, this is just the beginning of the process of opening these dispensaries legally. More than 200 have been shut down so far in the city of San Diego in the last couple of years as the police and the city attorney's office work cooperatively to shut down illegal operations. But with regard to the cost of enforcement, I know that our independent budget analyst has given great thought to this and done some research and working with our Development Services Department. And what can you tell us about whether we're on the right track with regard to recovering our costs for administering this program?
Certainly, Chris Olson from the Office of the IBA. Our office has reviewed this item as it's been presented in committee and also council today. and has worked with the Development Services Department as they've put together there's an outline of proposed cost components of the fees, which is included in the backup today. They include fees from multiple departments, from the San Diego Police Department for conducting background checks, from the Development Services Department for the investigation of the sites, from the Fire Prevention Bureau for business occupancy, and from the City Treasurer's Office for business tax certificate. The Fire Prevention and City Treasurer portions are existing permits. The new proposals are for the Police Department and Development Services, and in our review of it, we find that the fees to be reasonable. They're based on hourly rates of work, and the rates are established by the user fee analysis that's done as a regular part of business by the city. And an option that's available to the council as well could be to monitor actual data of costs incurred and fees received and review that after a certain period of time, years' time, whatever the council saw fit.
And what would be a reasonable length of time? Come back in 6 months, a year, something along those lines?
That would be free. We would do it according to your wish.
Okay, and I think that that's important to make sure that we are covering our costs. I see I'm out of time. It's not so much the questions, but the answers, as I say. But I would like maybe 1 more minute of time to ask a couple of questions of staff. With regard to requiring a maintenance list of responsible persons, which would be furnished upon request by whom? Would that be request by the city or the public? Do we have some comments on that? And then, go ahead.
Dan Irving of the Development Services. The idea of maintaining a list of staff will have a list of those people who've been approved by PD. And if we need to go out with an inspection for code enforcement or yearly inspections, we will take that list with us and compare it with those employees that are working against their approved list. And if there's a conflict, then we have an issue to deal with.
And is that a public record?
That would be a public record.
Okay, so it would be available to the public upon request. Yes. And then with regard to the potency of products, I'm hoping down the road we can enter into a cooperative relationship with the industry and what government entities might eventually come forward to help us set a standard for potency and then some reliable way of posting that in the labels on the products. Do you foresee, are you keeping your eyes open with regard to that?
Well, that would have to something come from committee direction to amend the ordinance again.
Okay, and we'll be looking at that going forward because, again, that is a concern that I have. But with that, I think that we are moving in the right direction. Finally, a set of amendments that I believe reflects the concern that many have come to us. And I would like to move this package of amendments so that we can be more fully prepared to manage and work cooperatively with these consumer cooperatives in serving the needs of those who are medically challenged and can benefit from the compassion of themselves.